Do you know what we're here for?
Equal parts. Oh my gosh.
Illegal.
All right. Now let's get to this. I've held you off long enough on this one. Let's look at this. Here's Jordan Peterson on the Piers Morgan Uncensored YouTube channel. He was asked by Piers Morgan to psychoanalyze the two candidates. Let's see what he comes up with. I'm sure it'd be totally normal.
This is from 12 Rules for Life.
Just talking of psychoanalyzing people, you've got two complete polar opposites now running for president of the United States. If you were psychoanalyzing Trump and Kamala Harris, what would you conclude right now based on everything you've seen and heard?
I feel like he's definitely heard the question right now. But he's just like, he's searching for that answer so hard. You see how red his face is right now? He's like sort of rocking back and forth in his chair. Piers, it's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking.
Well, if I could vote in the American election, I would vote for Trump. And I don't trust Harris. Now, do I trust Trump? Well, he was president for 4 years. Like, look, the best.
Okay, so he's asked, if you were psychoanalyzing Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, what would you come to the conclusion of? Well, I would vote for Trump. That's what I would do. Me, Jordan Peterson, I would vote for Trump right now because, well, you see, due to my psychoanalytic experience, I understand that Donald Trump was president for 4 years. You need a psychoanalytical degree to know that somebody's been president for so long. A full 4-year term. And Kamala Harris, of course, well, let's forget that. Because, of course, Kamala Harris was vice president for 4 years. And was, in fact, in government much longer than Donald Trump. And if you look at Donald Trump's, career before all of this, I would say it's much less, what's the word? Respectable.
Predictor of someone's future behavior is their past behavior. If you're trying to hire someone and you have documented history of their efforts in precisely the domain that you're attempting to hire.
I sound Irish trying to imitate him? Peterson? Pretty sure Peterson is an Irish name.
And the evidence is clear and valid. You use that in favor of all other predictive, what would you say, predictive markers. So I think it's more appropriate for me as a
what is he doing with his hands
knows
right now?
The psychometric literature to point out that independent of Trump's personality, which tends, by the way, to be a relative.
Independent of his personality, which I'm not going to psychoanalyze right now. This guy is ridiculous. And he doesn't do any, like, at this point, he's done zero psychoanalysis and just said a bunch of complete nonsense reduction of politics here for even Piers Morgan appears to be incredibly bored and disappointed. This is what he's getting from Dr. Jordan Peterson.
It's science.
Weak predictor of behavior. It's intelligence that's the best predictor, and then personality. We have a documented track record. Okay, so what do we know about?
I'm sorry. Whoa! You're just gonna switch topics? You have a documented track record of intelligence between Donald Trump. If you're saying we have a documented track record of Donald Trump and Kamala Harris intelligence, and that somehow your analysis of that leads you to vote for Donald Trump, I would say that you're lacking. Definitely, 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 Good God.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we know this: decent economic performance, markedly
Decent
stable
economic
international situation, no wars,
Wow.
plus, and that's something, no wars.
Huge.
Plus, he established the Abraham Accords.
Yes, Piers, what does that tell us about the psycho and analytics of these people? No wars. Huh. Jordan Peterson. My God, pal. I think you should probably just avoid the politics, because you seem to have essentially zero to offer. He's dressed normally. You would call this normal? You notice there's like a shimmer to this suit jacket? Look closer. There appears to be some sort of glitter inside the fabric for this tuxedo. Because once again, it's basically a tuxedo suit. He's wearing a tuxedo for an interview. I mean, it's a little bit unorthodox for a tuxedo, but you gotta.
And they've held even after October 7th, and everybody in the State Department told the Trump administration that was that.
The Abraham Accords, they're still going strong. Everything's fine. Okay, Jordan.
Putting that agreement together was impossible. Now, of course, it's the Abraham Accords that have infuriated and frustrated the bad actors in Iran, and that's pretty much the entire political class.
What is this? What does this have to do with the mental? I can't even remember what Piers Morgan's question was now. What was Piers asking again? What was the question? Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. We have to hear the question again, because I've lost it. Piers?
Just talking of psychoanalyzing people.
Right, we were psychoanalyzing people. I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked here. Not sure who to blame. Oh, right.
Frustrated the bad actors in Iran, and that's pretty much the entire political class there, and fomented October 7th and produced this catastrophe that's unfolding. But putting that at the feet of Donald Trump is a very ill-advised thing to do. So I would say, with regards to Trump, well, we know what a Trump presidency would be like.
Wait, putting it at the feet of Donald Trump is a bad thing to do, but you would still vote for him if you could. But you're still a Canadian. And
but there's something else to consider too, because you might say, well, you know, that was round one and now it's round two and Trump is older. And although I think he's actually modified his behavior to some degree as a consequence of being beat up so thoroughly over the last 5 years, and although he's a bit defensive, he's also less blustery and more.
He's modified his behavior somewhat. Okay, so this is the first time he even attempts to maybe consider what psychoanalyzing Trump. But like, this is hilarious. He's modified it. In the debate, he was talking about how Haitians were eating dogs and cats. What in the fuck is he talking about? He's modified his behavior to what? From what to what, please?
Which I think is a big plus. But for me, the other thing that I've seen really switch that's really been positive for me is that
he said nothing up to this point.
Trump has pulled a lot of hyper powerful people together around him.
Oh, so he's managed to pull super powerful people around him, and that's what makes him good, is that he's adjacent to power. Huh.
Help! I'm being repressed!
Musk, Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard?
Ramaswamy.
Oh my God. Oh, she's crying herself to sleep tonight. She is at home crying. Why doesn't he know my name? I've been trying to... It's Gabbard.
Robert F. Kennedy, most of whom would have been Democrats in anything approximating a sane and normal world. And so, you see, my sense is that somebody whose narcissistic impulses are out of control, because Trump is a flamboyant and dominating character who likes the public light. So you think, well, you know, does he tilt too far in the narcissistic direction? It's like, well, why would he share the spotlight with the rest of this?
This is astute and intellectual psychoanalysis here from Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. My God. Is he narcissistic? Maybe, but there's only evidence for why he's so great, so I don't see what's the problem. He's great. Nothing wrong with being a little narcissistic when you're as cool as Trump.
true. And the other thing that we should consider is that, look, man, I would vote for Trump if for no other reason than Musk himself has already agreed to head something like a Department of Governmental Efficiency in the U.S. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
What? That's enough for you. Elon Musk in government. Okay, where's my voting pen? Let me get out to the polls.
Enough said. You know, and then Kennedy is bringing the public health crisis into the political realm, and both those two things are revolutionary.
I would also say
Ramaswamy seems to be. Go ahead.
Ramaswamy is a very smart guy as well. I completely agree with you on that.
These are two of the dumbest guys in this space, I swear to God. Them getting together for anything. And you'll notice that I've been incredibly restrained here. We could have done an entire hour of content, and we are keeping it to just this section entitled Psychoanalyzing Harris and Trump. We could have done Peterson on Hugh Edwards, so that would have been interesting. Weaponization of mental health. I'm sure there was nothing problematic in there. We might have to do battle for free speech online some other time.
Also, I think that Trump has shown with these assassination attempts something very surprising that I suspect a lot of people would not have expected, and that is genuine personal courage. I mean, the first time when he was actually shot, to insist on getting back up and to punch the air defiantly was a remarkable thing to do.
What?
I thought what even more remarkably was a week later, he was back on stage at another rally with an even bigger crowd, like nothing had happened. I spoke to him that night, and he was, you know, very gung-ho. I'm just going to keep doing it. They're not going to stop me. That is personal moral courage.
How is that personal moral courage? If anything, the fist pump was him endangering himself and his secret service people. Like, well, what is he fucking talking about? Donald Trump wasn't... I don't think Donald Trump even knew 100% at the moment that he did that stupid fucking fist pump that there wasn't still a fucking threat out there, that somebody might try and shoot him. And that, you know, he was more worried about the fist pump and his shoes than the safety of the people around him. That doesn't show moral courage. That shows a guy who doesn't give a fuck about anybody around him.
I don't think you ever know whether you have it until it happens. And then you saw again with this latest one, you know, he was cracking jokes immediately afterwards, saying, well, I wish I could have finished my birdie putt. Again.
It looks like Jordan is like struggling to keep the tears inside. Like he's ready to start, you know, really crying here out loud about this whole thing. He seems very upset about this this first Trump assassination. You see, he just looks distraught over it.
The reaction, I mean, it's a quality of Trump that we haven't really seen until you see it. And you're never quite sure how people will respond when there are genuine threats to kill them. And he's actually been shot and then nearly got killed again. And yet he's back out there continuing with the campaigning. So whatever you think of Trump, I do.
What is that? What is that stupid fucking head nod thing he's doing with this?
I think on the personal courage aspect, he's shown a lot of it recently.
Yes, grace under pressure.
Piers is determined to get this courage point driven home. He really wants Jordan to tell him about how courageous Donald Trump is on a psychoanalytical level.
But also, you pointed to something else, is that he was up cracking jokes. You know, Hitler wasn't well known for his sense of humor.
What does that mean? What does that mean, Jordan? Hitler wasn't known for his sense of humor. I don't know if you know this, but Hitler, not a good joke teller. You used to do the stand-up, and people were always booing him. Not a funny guy. That Donald Trump, though.
And the thing about Trump, and you can't deny this, Trump is a funny bastard.
Right.
He's funny. He'll say daring things just because they're comical. He's really good at it. And even...
By the way, he's not going to full circle. He's not going to full circle this point. I mean, that was him full circling it. Didn't have an actual historical reason for bringing, or any sort of reason for bringing up Hitler.
His Twitter usage, his X usage, Twitter, of course, because he's not really using the platform now. Impulse.
His Twitter usage, it shows the true nature of a man.
Entertaining, unbelievably cutting and funny in a stand-up comedian sort of manner. And, you know, that just doesn't go well with the tyrannical personality, because tyrants aren't well known for being able to tolerate the court jester.
He is the court jester. Donald Trump is the court jester. You know, he's the court jester who wants to be the tyrant. It seems like this psychoanalysis is a little shallow. What do you think, Chad? I'm not an expert. I'm no doctor like Jordan Tuxedo Face here.
Put it that way. And so Trump is tough and funny. The other thing about Trump you got to think about too is, you know, is he ambitious? Well, I don't think it's ambition that's driving his pursuit of this second term. I mean, first of all, Trump's an old man, and second of all, he's already president, and he's as famous as you can get.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, his ambition is so overweening that
fame is actually a good trait for someone to have as president. I should know, I'm a doctor.
It's compelling him forward regardless. And I don't actually think so. I actually think that what happened was that Trump accidentally became president, shocked the hell out of him, and then he got some sense of exactly how unstable and corrupt the DC swamp had become. And
what are you talking about? He realized that? That was his entire campaign, 2015. What in the fuck? It was 2015, 2016. He said the word swamp probably 10,000 times.
he started to take the role seriously. And now I think he's taking it even more seriously. And that's part of why he's building this coalition. I think.
Wow. Donald Trump, serious guy, according to JB.
Made a dreadful mistake in the debate with Kamala Harris because.
Kamala.
Well, first of all, he didn't highlight the Biden laptop spectacle, which is like a bit of political maneuvering that outdoes any deviance that I've ever seen since the beginning of my political awareness, including.
I'm sorry. Everybody, we need to take a second here. Everybody knows about the Biden laptop. We need to hear again Jordan Peterson's. Now remember, this is about the psychoanalysis of Donald Trump and Kamala Harris for some reason, and he's talking about Biden laptops. I don't know why, but
which is like a bit of political maneuvering that outdoes any deviance that I've ever seen since the beginning of my political awareness, including.
It's a bit of political maneuvering that outdoes any deviance that I have ever seen in the entirety of my political awareness.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century.
Wow, JB. Really? This is it. That's it. The existence of dick pics on a computer are, well, I mean, they're...
That's too much, man!
Yeah.
Thing that went around Richard Nixon.
Even Piers is like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? He's like ready to start crying. You see him? He's like sweating. He's like straight up sweating. You can see his hair, what's left of it, starting to look a little. He's like really
for his much less
starting to lose it here.
Trump has gathered these people.
Like he's getting so red that you can see like the redness, like it's going all the way up to his scalp.
He's ready to move forward. Now, he didn't make a case for that in the damn debate.
I thought he was actually.
He didn't say, "Look,
I thought he had a bad
go
debate.
ahead, Piers.
Actually, I thought that she played him rather cleverly. She played to his narcissism. Let's call it. I think what it is a bit about the crowd sizes, about all that kind of stuff, and.
Great point. Great point, Maz. There's Hunter Biden, and then there's Hitler. There's dick pics on a laptop, and then there's like being bad at telling jokes, I guess.
Other than him laser-like focusing on her weakness, which is that after 4 years, the country clearly is not in a better place. That's why she couldn't answer that question. And skewering her on her actual paucity of policy knowledge. I mean, she doesn't seem to know what she would do if she ran the country. She sort of played into his hands of allowing himself to be goaded and getting into a bit of a street fight and then saying crazy stuff about cats and dogs and
Piers doesn't even know where to go. Piers has no idea what to say right now. He's just kind of riffing on this. He's like, I saw the debate. I was just, could have been a lot better from Donald Trump. He really had so much opportunity in it. I truly love Donald. And I wish he could have done better. Kamala Harris had left such openings for him. And yet, he didn't strike when he should have.
Conversely, if you were looking at her right now, how do you psychoanalyze Kamala Harris?
Okay, well, let's give the devil his due to begin with. One of the marked things I have seen happening with the Democrats.
Why is Jordan Peterson looking anywhere but the camera? I mean, he's looking at it now, but you're right. 90% of this interview has been looking anywhere but the camera. Mostly down at the ground, sometimes up.
Leadership
it's weird.
Is their movement away from the radical left. And so I'd like to give them credit for that. I think
back to the
now,
camera.
is it
Ground,
real?
Camera.
Well, maybe.
Side, down.
Some of me doesn't care
no more
if it's
eyes.
real, even if
Camera.
it's performative, even if it's purely
over to the
performative,
left.
It's
back to the right.
Long overdue and very welcome. And so you
and
don't
back
hear
down.
Kamala talking much about the climate crisis, which I'm perfectly happy about because I think that's...
I'm perfectly happy about that because, of course, as we all know...
Climate and everything are the same word.
An absolute load of anti-human rubbish in the main. And the more leftist types within the Democrat Party have been effectively sidelined, at least as this campaign has progressed. So,
is this still psychoanalysis? I'm a little confused. What happened? What happened to this supposed... I didn't... Did anybody catch any psychoanalysis in here? I'm not going to lie. Not feeling like we got much. It was mostly like... It was basically if Jordan B. Peterson had taken Harry Enton's job, but did not prepare at all. Like, because, like,
thumbs up on that regard. Having said that, on the principle that previous performance is the best indicator of future performance, Kamala's had her time in the White House. Now, you might say the vice presidency is a secondary role, but if you're the sort of person that would only allow the vice presidency to be a secondary role, then maybe you're not fit to be president. You don't have enough force of character. You've already seen what the Biden administration looks like.
Oh my God. If you're the sort of person who would allow vice president to be a secondary role, maybe you're not fit to be president, even though definitionally, vice president is a secondary role. It's vice. There's the president, and there's the vice president. President, vice president, president, vice president. Like it is literally in the fucking word.
Right now.
Like, I don't respect anybody who's willing to let their secondary position be secondary. It shows a real lack of moral fortitude and intellectualism.
What I see the Biden administration look like, I mean, America is such an economic powerhouse that it's still trudging along, rampaging along like a bull in a china shop, like it always does. But foreign policy has been a complete bloody world-ending disaster under the Democrats. They haven't stood up to Iran, which is a pack of...
The United States hasn't stood up to Iran. I'm sorry. What? Since when? I would love to know what Jordan Peterson's exact policy changes would be here. I know we've gotten way off the path here, but at this point...
Compare. And we have this terrible, brutal, and I think unnecessary war going on between Russia and Ukraine, which could spiral out of control.
Oh, that's the one we have to worry about.
And so,
for 1 second, I thought he was going to go to Palestine. He's like, no, this terrible, brutal War in Ukraine, of course, not the one in Gaza which we're funding.
That's on Harris and the Democrats, and that's a major issue. So, and then what we might say, well, what will we get under Kamala? And maybe it's the case that the move away from the radical left is real, although I need a lot more evidence before I would believe that. But the easiest thing to predict is another 4 years of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you predict that? It's not like she's the only one calling the shots. And as you already pointed out, maybe we could have more confidence that she would be a transformative leader, pull the Democrats to the center. What would you say? Act in a stellar manner on the foreign policy front and put.
I love how he's acting as if Biden wasn't a centrist president to pretty much every degree. On most degrees, not all, but on many things. So now I'm pretending as if it's a weird vibe, because he's kind of doing the opposite of what everybody in the Republican Party is trying to do right now, because everybody's backing off of Biden and now coming at Kamala and saying, oh, she's an evil leftist communist. But no, he's picked a different route, which is weird. I think Piers is also once again confused, but he's been confused for most of this interview.
Economy in order. Well, we'd be a lot more convinced of that if she was 10 times more policy oriented than she appears to be.
I completely agree.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen a candidacy focused so much on image in my life in any country.
No,
you know,
and I
what
think
did you get? You got joy,
she's bet
know?
the bank on three things. One, she's not Joe Biden, which is a clear win for her. She's not. Secondly, she wants to avoid any substantive policy talk and shift everything to how awful Trump is, because that's an easier way for her to win.
That's all that Joe Biden ever did. That's all that that's all the election cycle's been for 8 years. It's like Piers Morgan hasn't been paying attention, like he hasn't been in supposed journalism for the entire time. Super weird vibe. Like, that's am I losing my mind? That's literally how Joe Biden won the election, was by saying Donald Trump was an existential threat. He was the only one that could beat him. Full stop. No? Is that not how it went? How are we doing on that? God damn. 2 hours in, you say? Interesting choice. Okay. Where are we? Well, you made it to the end of the video. Might be thinking to yourself, I should go find something else to watch. But before you hastily go off and do such a thing, I really recommend you subscribe to this channel. And don't forget that little bell icon as well, otherwise you will never know when all the galactic news is happening.